Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. We're going to be continuing reading the book al-Ajwat al-Jaliyyah fi al-Ahkam al-Hanbaliya, or the clear ruling in Hanbali Rulings, by a Shaykh Musa bin Issa al-Qaddoomi rahimahullah. This is lesson number 31, where we'll be discussing those who are excused from the communal prayer. Let us begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Allahumma anfa'na bima 'allamtana wa 'allimna bima yanfa'una wa zidna ilman ya Rabbil Alameen. قال المؤلف رحمه الله نفع الله به وبعلومه وعلوم مشايخنا في الدارين ameen. We will be reading from the Khalid Sheikh translation as usual, and this will be on page 89 of the English version. Number 67, the Sheikh rahimahullah says, who is excused from the Jum'ah and the Jama'ah, or the Friday and the communal prayer. And he responds, the following people are excused from attending Jum'ah and Jama'ah. A, the sick person. B, the one who is fearful that he may become sick. C, one who requires to urinate or defecate. D, one who is hopeful in attaining something lost. E, one who fears the waste or loss of his wealth, or fears harm in that. F, or fears the loss of wealth that he has been hired to guard, such as a guard for an orchard. And G, one is harmed by rain or mud, snow or sleet, or a cold wind on a dark night. Now we will be referring to a-Taghlabi's Sharh of al-Talib here for some additional information and clarifications. So regarding the person who is sick or has fear of a spreading disease, this ruling that they're excused applies to those who are not already in the masjid. However, a-Taghlabi says if they are in the masjid, then they are required to perform the Jum'ah and communal prayer due to not facing any hardship. Now, I should mention here that I am not a medical professional, and of course, from the time that some of these books have been written, there could be advances in medicine and understanding diseases and how they spread. So with regard to this ruling, please consult reliable medical advice, preferably from a Muslim physician, and hopefully you will also be receiving advice from the person who is in charge of the masjid or leading the prayer. And we would hope that, of course, that person is also following the medical advice, inshallah ta'ala. So let's not take this as a one-size-fits-all ruling, and we can, as I said, follow proper medical guidance. Also, a-Taghlabi, he clarifies that the ruling for the Jum'ah prayer, Friday prayer, is a little bit different from that of the communal prayer. So that person which would not be harmed by attending the Jum'ah prayer, meaning that they could, for example, be taken there on a mount, so we could say in contemporary language, like perhaps in a car, or being carried, then if that's not going to harm them, then they should attend the Jum'ah prayer. Now, referring to this scenario of the person who has lost something and is so-called hopeful in attaining that thing that he's been lost, a-Taghlabi says in his Sharh that, for example, this would be a type of situation where someone has informed him or given him some kind of information about the thing being in a certain place, and that he has fear that if he doesn't go and look for it quickly, then someone could take that. So this is what, having hope in finding it means. There should be some level of certainty. It just can't be a blind speculation. However, a-Taghlabi, he also mentions what al-Majd, Shaykh al-Islam al-Majd, the grandfather of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, is al-Majd. He said that it is better or more preferred that one just leave looking for that thing and then pray the Jum'ah or the communal prayer and then go look for it. And I believe that al-Buhooti mentions the same thing in Sharh of Muntaha. That is quoting al-Majd. Now with regards to the issue of the one who fears losing something of his wealth or property, a-Taghlabi gives the example of, for example, if he has an animal that's wandering, or if he has, we can say, something of value on him, in this case, that would also be excusable if he has the fear that it might be lost. And with the issue of fearing harm to something of his property, he gives the example of, for example, bread being burnt or food being burnt, or too much water going on an agricultural plot because of him being away. And now the issue of the one who is potentially going to be harmed by rain, mud, snow, sleet, cold wind on a dark night. This will be covered, inshallah ta'ala, in the next dars when we discuss about combining the prayers. And a-Taghlabi mentions an additional point here, that the one who could be harmed by the imam lengthening the prayer, sort of excessively lengthening it, then he would also be excused from attending the prayer. We'll take another issue that is not in al-Ajubah or Dalil al-Talib, but this is mentioned here in Muntaha al-Iradat, and the famous Sharh by al-Buhooti. It's the issue of the ruling of the one, if they should pray when food is served. So it mentions in Sharh al-Muntaha that the one who has been served food is excused from the prayer if he needs to eat it, or even if he is satiated, if he is full. Now, in his Sharh, al-Buhooti, he mentions two important hadiths. The first is the hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, and this is in al-Bukhari, where he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam qal, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِذَا قُدِمِ إِشَاءُ فَابْدَأُوا بِهِ قَبْلَ أَن تُصَلُّوا الصَّلَاةَ الْمَغْرِبِ وَلَا تَعْجَلُوا عَنْ أَشَائِكُمْ. So this means that if the dinner is presented to you, then start it before you pray the Maghrib prayer, and don't rush your dinner. And he also mentions the hadith of Amr bin Umayyah, where he informed that he saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, يحتز من كتف شاة في يده فدعي إلى الصلاة فالتقاها والسكينة التي يحتز بها ثم قام فصلى ولم يتودى. So he saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam cutting a piece of the sheep meat that was in his hand, and then he was called to the prayer. So he left the meat and the knife that he was cutting with, he prayed and went back to the prayer. So we can see from these two hadiths that it is permissible to either continue eating or leave the food in the case that this food is being served when the prayer is being established. And regarding the second hadith, al-Buhooti says in his Sharh that it's possible that he didn't need it, like he wasn't hungry. Now, for those of you who are interested in the subject, I would suggest first looking at Bab 42 and 43 in Kitab al-Adhan, the book of the Adhan in Sahih Bukhari. I believe these are maybe only 5 hadiths, and you will see some of the evidence on the issue. And if you have an especially high interest, I suggest you then refer to Ibn Rajab's Sharh of al-Bukhari, Fath al-Bari, and this is Fath al-Bari of Ibn Hajar, of Ibn Rajab, not of Ibn Hajar. And you will see he has a good explanation, and of course with reference of other hadiths on the subject. And there is an interesting benefit here, and what I'm going to tell you is what is mentioned in Fath al-Bari by Ibn Rajab. I didn't hear this from Dr. Mustafa Hafidhullah or other shuyukh, but basically what Ibn Hajar says is that all of these hadiths, and he's talking about the hadiths in that bab or chapter 42, they all refer that if the prayer is established and the asha, the dinner, has been served, that he begins with the dinner, whether he has eaten from it or not, and he does not get up until he satisfies himself from the dinner. So the faida here, and Allah knows best, but what Ibn Rajab is saying, that these hadiths are referring specifically to this having dinner. So we're talking about dinner being served at the time of Maghrib. And you can read what he says in Al-Fath, but this is just an interesting faida. And once again, if we go to our core texts like Muntaha al-Iradat and Buhooti Sharh, they don't mention this point, but this is just a benefit for you, and Allah knows best. And there are a few other scenarios that one might be excused from the prayer. So we'll again look in Muntaha al-Iradat, Buhooti Sharh. So for example, the death of a relative or of a friend, meaning that you fear the death would occur while one was away in the prayer. So these would also be valid excuses not to attend the Jummah or communal prayer. And then also if one had fear from himself, from the sultan, the leader, the authority, that he might be taken by that person, that would also be an excuse. And likewise, the person who is in debt, if he's afraid that he will meet the debtor there, and he doesn't have anything to pay. And this specifically means that as a result, he fears that he will be imprisoned, which is a type of oppression. So it's not just, according to Buhooti Sharh, it's not just that you're going to have fear that you're going to see the person that you're in debt to, but something bad, negative, like being imprisoned because of it, is going to occur. And Allah knows best. Now, if you want to read about this more in Dalil al-Talib, because we've just taken some highlights here, you will find this section, I believe, right after the section that we took last time, where the person, the Imam, would stand in relation to the people he's leading in the prayer. It's coming directly after that section. And we're just going to add one section. This is in Dalil al-Talib, but al-Qaddoomi has not included it here in al-Ajubah, but this is just covering the prayer of the person who is unable to pray normally. Or we can say, as in Arabic, Ahl al-Azar, or the people of the excuse. So I'm just going to summarize what a-Taghlabi is mentioning in his Sharh al-Dalil. But basically, for the one who is sick but capable of standing, he must pray the maktuba, meaning the obligatory prayers, the 5 obligatory prayers, standing, even if it's kind of being supported by something, like leaning against something, for example. And in the case that he's unable to do that, then he would pray sitting down. And the preferred way of sitting would be with the legs crossed. And if one were still unable to do that due to the difficulty, he would then pray on his side, meaning like laying on the side, and the right side would be better, as in laying on the right side would be superior. Now, for the person who can lay on his side, it would be disliked for him to pray lying on his back with his feet facing the Qibla, if he was able to be on his side, but that prayer would be valid, although disliked. But for the person who is unable to be praying on his side, then that person would pray laying down, like on his back, with his feet facing the Qibla. And in this case, he would move his head for the ruku' and the sujood, and when moving the head for the sujood, he would try to do it more than for the ruku'. And if he was even unable to do that, he could then be doing that with his eyes and having that kind of a presence, or we say an intention while doing the action, which one he's doing. I mean, he would think to himself, now I'm doing the ruku' or I'm doing the sujood. And likewise, the one who is unable to speak would be having that, like, also kind of internalized, like thinking it to himself while doing it, if he couldn't speak. And finally, he concludes that the prayer would never cease to be obligatory on the sick person as long as he had his mental faculties, meaning that he could intend the prayer in his heart and minimally at least move his eyes and have that kind of the intention as we previously discussed. So we're going to end here. In the next dars, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to talk about the prayer of the traveler and the ruling of joining two prayers together. Please don't forget us and our brothers and sisters around the world in your dua. And we have recently seen that dua can have powerful results. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een.